Hello book lovers, and welcome back to Nat Cat's Bookish Cafe. Today is September 19th. It is Monday afternoon, and I am here to start my week 4 vlog for Bookopoly. Alright guys, so we are in the second to last week of Bookopoly, and right now it is not looking good. Like, I'm gonna finish my Bookopoly TBR. It does look like I have a decent chance of completing my Aurelium and my TBR game TBR. But the Bookopoly one, I still have about 3 books left to go, and the book that I'm actually going to be starting now is not one of the books that I have for Bookopoly. And I will be starting The Bones Beneath My Skin by Klune. This book is for my TBR, a romance written by a queer author. Klune is queer. I believe he's asexual. And for my Aurelium, it is the final physical book that I have to read. I have a couple audio books that I still need to get through, but my final physical book, and this is for getting a Q, I believe is the second level Q in Conjuration, and it needs to have either bones or the word bones on the cover, which as you can see it does. So this book, from what I get from or gain from the synopsis, is that we follow a man whose parents have passed away and whose brother doesn't want really anything to do with him. So he kind of goes to his parents or his family's cabin out in the woods, and there he stumbles across a man and a young girl. This girl seems to have special powers, and there are people that are looking to capture her because of this. And so the three of them work together to, I'm assuming, fight against this organization or this group of people that are trying to find her. And I'm assuming it's got found family aspects, and of course a bit of romance between the main character and this man who's taking care of the child. Otherwise, I have honestly never heard anything about this book, so I'm going in pretty blind, but I am a huge Klune fan, so I am optimistic. I will, of course, check in with you once I've gotten a little way into the book. But otherwise, the audiobook that I'm listening to is We Hunt the Flame. So this is actually a book that I had to read for the fall quarter for Aurelium, and that was to read an intimidating book. In fact, this book is so intimidating that I read the first 100 pages, I think, back in June. And have yet to pick it up again. So I figured I'd give it a try on audiobook to see if I would be able to, make my way through it that way. And I am starting where I left off, so I'm technically already 24% through the audiobook. But I will keep you updated on that as I go along. I think I wasn't overly impressed with the first 100 pages, which is why I've had such trouble picking it up again. But this is a well-beloved series, so I am hoping that it picks up now that it seems that our characters' adventures have started. So I'm eager to get back into that and hopefully love it as much as everyone else does. I just realized I didn't give a synopsis for We Hunt the Flame. I have to admit, it's been a hot second since I've read it. But from what I remember, we're following a young female character who is known as the Huntress, and her town lives along the edge of a magical forest, and she seems to be the only one that can go in there, hunt in there, and return. Everyone else seems to kind of like disappear or die. So it's a very dangerous forest, and she pretends to be a man because she lives in a very patriarchal society, and so if they found out that she was a woman who was providing for the village, she would be in trouble. And I believe she was approached by someone who wants her to find the instructions or the manual on how to bring magic back to society, because it seems like a few generations ago or something, all the magic that was in this kingdom disappeared, and so the kingdom has been suffering ever since because it relied so heavily on its magic. So she's hoping to go out and find that so they can go ahead and bring magic back. On the other hand, we also follow a prince who also acts as an assassin for a very cruel and power-hungry king, sultan, emperor. I can't remember what the terminology was, but he has been tasked with finding her, having her lead him to the instructions, the scroll, whatever they're looking for, and then killing her, because I believe his father probably doesn't want magic to return because he's perfectly happy with him being the most powerful. So that's all that I remember. You know, when I left off, I think both of them were just starting on their journey. So I will go ahead and, of course, let you know if what I said just now was completely wrong. And of course, what I think of their journey and the rest of the story. All right, so I've only read the first 16 pages, which is actually only 7 pages since it starts on page 9. But we are following Nate, who is, I think he said 27, I think he said he was. And he has been living in Washington, D.C. as a journalist. His parents, or specifically his father, kicked him out of the house at some point. I'm assuming when he was older, because he said he was an adult. But they kind of kicked them out of their life when they found out that he was gay. So he hasn't really talked to his family in years, but his father ended up killing his mother and then killing himself. And they left him an old truck and the cabin. So after losing his job in DC, he is back to spend some time at the cabin, and the cabin is actually near Roseland, which is the town that Into This River I Drown takes place in. So we actually just had a conversation with Big Eddie at his gas station, and if you saw my Into This River I Drowned vlog, or even if you saw my wrap-up that included that book, you'll know that in that book Big Eddie has unfortunately passed away. So this book was published before that, and so therefore of course takes place before it. But it's just interesting to know that these two books take place in the same world. Our character seems not to be the best at interacting with people. He's a little awkward about it, and he also states that he doesn't interact well with children. They don't seem to like him, and so he kind of tries to avoid them. So that'll be interesting, knowing that one of the characters he'll be spending time with is a young girl. So we're already learning that our character has a pretty tragic past, you know, losing his family, both by them pushing him away and then losing them again through their death. So a lot of TJ Klune books do deal with grief, and I'm assuming that he has complicated feelings about his parents' death, and that will probably work through that, just because that is a topic that TJ Klune touches on a lot. But I will read a little bit more. I'm back at work, so don't know how much reading I'll be able to do, but I will of course update you when I have something to say again. Alright guys, so it's Monday night. I'm about to head to bed, but I have gotten to page 52 to chapter 4 of Bones Beneath My Skin. So far our character Nathan has arrived at his cabin and has been introduced to Artemis Darth Vader and Alex. So far the story has a lot of humor going on, and our character has a lot of questions, doesn't really know what's going on. There's some, you know, unexplained events that are occurring. Alex is trying desperately to protect Artemis, but it seems that he has a bullet injury, so he's not at his full capacity right now. And Artemis is very funny, and she spends a lot of time talking like she just spent a bunch of time like reading Western stories. So enjoying it so far. Not too much more to say on it, just because, you know, I'm still at the beginning of the story. But that is my update for that. I did get to 42% or something like that in We Hunt the Flame. I am enjoying the audiobook, so I'm glad that I moved over to the audiobook format. I'm enjoying the writing, the characters, I like them as well. I have to admit, considering we're almost at the 50% mark, not too much has happened in the story. So I actually don't have too much to say on it, but I will keep you up to date if I do have anything to say on it. And I will check in with you guys tomorrow. Good morning, guys. It is Tuesday morning, and I just woke up, as you can clearly tell. But story time real quick. So in my last vlog, I ended up extending it to Monday because I only had like a few pages left of 1984. So I was like, you know what, I'll just extend it. I'll finish the book by like lunchtime and then I'll start this vlog, which is exactly what I did. But in that vlog, I mentioned that I was taking Bowtie, this little guy. Let's get a picture of him. Here he is. Hi, Bowtie. To the vet because he's not feeling that good, which you can tell because he's hanging out here in the bathroom, which is what he likes to do, probably because it has heated flooring. And so he just drank a little, which is really good because he has kidney issues. So beforehand, he was not eating like at all. He wasn't drinking as much as he usually does, which for him is unusual because he's a big drinker, probably because of his kidney issues. And he was throwing up a lot. Like the day I took him to the vet, he'd thrown up like 3 times that morning, and the vet appointment was at 9:30. So he wasn't doing so good. So when I took him to the vet, they said that he was dehydrated, severely dehydrated. He is gotten really skinny. He has obviously lost a lot of weight as he's gotten older. He's got more of like that skinny old man body, but he was starting to fatten up for a little while, but in the last few weeks he has lost a lot of weight again, so he's really skinny. And the vet wasn't very happy with his color either. I guess his gums were too light. He was looking kind of grayish, so she wasn't super happy with the way that he looked, you know, a little concerned, things like that. So they ran a bunch of tests, which we'll hopefully get the results for today. Gave him fluid, so he had like those little big pouches that cats get when you give them fluids. And they gave him antibiotics as well and anti-vomiting medicine. So we got home around 11 and he drank, which I was like, oh, that's really good, he's drinking. And then he went outside and I was like, well, if they gave him a bunch of fluids, you know, my dad was like, he probably has to pee. My mom was like, yeah, you know, he has to pee all the time because he drinks so much. And now that he's actually got fluids in him again, I was like, okay. But we didn't see him for like hours. So like at 10 o'clock at night, we're out there, like 10:30, we're like out there looking for him. And considering like the state that he was in, I was like, oh, he went off to find somewhere to pass away. So I was like crying. I was not in a good place at all. And so I go to bed and my dad wakes me up at like 11:30 and is like, oh, Bowtie's in your bathroom. And I was like, oh my God. So I'm just so happy. Let's find a good angle of our baby. Here's a little Bozy Bow. He's a baby. So I'm just so thankful that he is here. I'm hoping that the tests show us what's wrong with him, either that or that the medicine that they gave him will help him. He has been through hunger strikes, if you want to call them that, in the past, and we've been able to resolve the issue. But of course, he is 14 years old, so he's getting up there in the years, but I'm not ready to say goodbye to my baby yet, so you know, staying optimistic, and I will keep you up to date on his well-being. All right, guys, so I'm on page 71 for The Bones Beneath My Skin, and I absolutely love Artemis. She's just such a wonderful character. It's very clear that she has not lived among society at all. It's like she's kind of like amazed by everything, and she's very much doing things and being like, is this right? Or I read to do this in a book, or I met a waitress for the first time and this is what she did, kind of stuff. So it's very clear that she probably lived in a very isolated setting. She's mentioned a place called the Mountain, so it's possible that she grew up in some sort of secret facility there, but it just adds a lot of humor to the situation, because she's still kind of learning what's normal, and kind of how to interact normally with people. And our character, of course, is very confused and a little annoyed and exasperated about everything that's going on. But so far, I'm really enjoying the dynamic between the three characters. Nick is confused. Artemis is very welcoming to him. She's happy to have him there. And then Alex, on the other hand, is unsure of Nick and doesn't quite trust him yet, and is still trying to be a very opposing and threatening figure, and trying to make sure that Nick isn't there to hurt Artemis. So really liking that dynamic so far, and I'll check in with you guys when I've read a little bit more. Guys, so it is 3 o'clock on Friday. So it has been a few days since I checked in with you. My last video, I believe, was from Tuesday morning, so I do have a little bit of news to update you on. I believe I will have put something at the beginning of the video, so you can probably guess why I disappeared for a little while. So on Tuesday, I let you know that I would keep you up to date on Bowtie's status. Unfortunately, later that day, we were informed that Bowtie had gone into kidney failure. So on Wednesday morning, we had Lap of Love come to our home to euthanize him. So he has gone over the rainbow. It was obviously very difficult to lose him. We had him in our life for 14 wonderful years, but he was deteriorating rather quickly, and so to make sure that he wasn't too uncomfortable or in too much pain in the end, we did decide that helping him cross over was the best thing to do. It was a good experience to be able to say goodbye to him, tell him all the things that I wanted to say, and for him to be able to pass away at home rather than at like the vet clinic. So that went really well. I just needed a couple days to recover. It's emotionally draining to lose a family member, but I'm doing okay. I did get some good closure. And the family seems to be doing pretty good. Loki's doing okay as well. This is his first time as an only child, so we'll see how he handles that. But yeah, I just wanted to let you know that that's why I was gone, but I am back to finish up this vlog since it's Friday, and I'm planning on starting a 48-hour readathon this weekend. So I just wanted to jump back on and give you guys an update on where I am. I did just finish The Bones Beneath My Skin. I did continue reading this over the last few days. It was Honestly, exactly what I needed in a time of grief. Because one, TJ Klune does touch on the topic of grief a lot. So it was very relatable for me to see the characters experiencing their grief, since I myself was grieving. But we also had just a loving found family, second chances at finding people that love and accept you just the way you are. And of course, we had some of TJ Klune's humor in this. So this book just brought me so much joy and laughter in a time where, you know, I was experiencing a lot of sadness. And I really think that this helped me pull through a little quicker than maybe if I'd been wallowing in some sort of tragic story or reading some sort of book that didn't relate to my current feelings at the time. So really a perfect time for me to be reading this. I am giving it a solid 4.5 stars. I really enjoyed all of our characters, all of their relationships. Seeing the relationship between Nate and Alex was really enjoyable. It was a very slow burn. The two of them at the beginning of the story had lost everything. They were all alone, and so just watching them kind of build this family around themselves again, and moving on from that loneliness was really wonderful to watch. And both of their relationships with Artemis was just beautiful to watch. They both loved her so much, and to watch her become more human, and to learn more about how humans are, because she's not fully human. I'll just say that without going into specifics of what she is. But just watching her fall more and more in love with them was just awesome. The story, I thought the pacing was decent. Sometimes it did get a little bit slow, but there always seemed to be something that would just come in and like pick up the pace again. So every time it seemed to slow too much, it would then pick up again. So there was never a point where I was getting bored or felt like I wanted to put the book down. And I really, really enjoyed the ending. Honestly, this ending makes me kind of want there to be like a continuation of the story. Like, it doesn't need to follow these characters, but I'm like, I want to see characters that occur after the ending of this book, because it was pretty shocking, pretty exciting. But yeah, overall, I just had a really great time with the story. It was exactly what I needed. Once again, TJ Klune completely impresses me with his writing. He does state that this book is different than what he's written previously. This was his first time self-publishing, so this was really a book, it seemed, that he kind of wrote for himself, not for like a publisher or anything like that. So you can definitely see that he just had a lot of fun with this book and really explored a lot of topics with it. And I had a really great time with it as well. So great story on that. The other book that I'm still working on is We Hunt the Flame. I'm a little bit over 50% through that book. I have to admit, I don't have too much to say on it. I kind of mentioned, if you follow me on Goodreads, you might have seen that I mentioned that I was having similar issues with this book that I did when I was reading Gideon the Ninth, where it's complicated enough or complex enough with enough characters and topics and, you know, terminology that isn't used in everyday life for me to be struggling with just the audiobook version of that. But I didn't have much luck with the physical reading of it either, because I never really wanted to pick it up. So at this point, I mean, I am obviously going to go ahead and finish the book. I'm thinking it's sitting probably around a 3-star. It's enjoyable, but it's just nothing too special in my opinion. It just, you know, seems very much like your everyday fantasy YA with similar tropes, which, you know, I don't mind experiencing the same tropes over and over again, but I feel like I'm a little bit more picky with it when it comes to YA, just because I'm moving away from that genre. So the book's not working for me too much. At this point, I don't know if I'll read the second book unless the ending of this book really grabs me. But I will, of course, let you know, probably in this vlog, a little bit more. But I will, of course, keep you up to date on that. I don't know how much more I'll be reading of it this week in this vlog. I'm probably going to go ahead and listen to a bit more when I go to the gym later today. But I don't really have any plans of listening to it this weekend during my readathon, but who knows. But yeah, that is my update for now. Just letting you know what was going on this week, and updating you on what I've been reading. And I will check in with you later when I start my next read, which will be Winter's Orbit, and I'm super excited about that. Alright guys, it is almost 10 o'clock and I'm just now finally getting around to reading. Don't ask me what I've been doing this whole time because I don't know. Wasting time, you know. But I did want to do a 48-hour readathon this weekend, just for myself. I don't know how well it's gonna go. Tomorrow I am gonna bake some cookies, and then I do have sprints. I'm gonna be trying sprints for the first time. Kayla from Kayla Ray Reads will be joining me. So we'll see how that goes, and that'll happen I think 3 o'clock my time. And then the next day I technically need to film my October TBR and edit it if it's to drop on Monday. So we'll see, you know, even though it's a 48-hour readathon, there's a couple other things that I need to do. Hopefully baking the cookies tomorrow won't take too long and I'll be able to dedicate a lot of time to reading. But last time I checked in with you, I was letting you know that I'd finished Bones Beneath My Skin by TJ Klune, and now the next book I will be starting is the last book on my TBR, for my TBR game, and that is Winter's Orbit by Everina Maxwell. So this fulfills my prompt of a sci-fi with mental health rep. It also fulfills a prompt for Becca's Bookopoly, because it has a building on the cover, so you can kind of see the building right there. And I believe that is all it's for. There's no other Aurelian prompts or anything, which, by the way, Bones Beneath My Skin did finish up my conjuration bone with a book with a bone on the cover, because the word bone is on there, for Aurelium. But for this book, it is a sci-fi. I think it might be adult. I don't know if it's YA or adult, I have to be honest. But it is queer. We follow two princes, I believe they're both princes, who have a arranged marriage. One of the princes had previously been married to the other's cousin, but that cousin disappeared or died under mysterious circumstances. So it seems that there's going to be a lot of politics in this book, but also a little bit of a murder mystery aspect. I've heard nothing but good things about this book, and looking at it, the text actually seems not too small. So we'll see. Hopefully I make it a decent way through. I don't know how much reading I'll do tonight. I tend not to stay up too late on Friday nights just because I've been up since 6:30, so I'm a little tired. But I'll probably try to get in maybe like an hour of reading, and then I will check in with you guys tomorrow to give you my initial thoughts. Alright guys, so it is a little after 10 in the morning on a Saturday. I did a little bit of reading this morning. I slept in a little bit because I've just been really tired, a little bit of emotionally drained, of course. So it was nice to sleep in till about 8. And I'm about to start making my cookies now. I just wanted to give you a quick update on the book. I'm about 50 pages in, first 3 chapters down. So we're following, I'm sorry if I say any of these names wrong, Kim, and he is a member of the royal family. He's pretty low down, like he has like tons of people above him, you know, cousins and stuff who are, you know, way ahead of him in line to the throne. And he seems to be a bit of a party boy, or at least he was in the past. And even though he's reformed now, a lot of people still treat him as, you know, that guy who's always getting into trouble and not taking politics and stuff seriously. Even though he is not as into politics as, you know, other people, just because he figured, you know, it's not something that really applies to his life since he's so far away from, you know, any sort of political activity. But he was informed that he would have to marry the diplomat. Is he a diplomat? Of Thea, I believe. And we are in a empire which consists of a few planets, and Kim is part of the emperor's family. So this is the family that rules over all the planets. And Janin, I believe is his name, the person he's going to be marrying, is part of Thea, which is one of the newest members of the empire. And this planet seems to have some people who are protesting their inclusion in the empire. So that's why the emperor thinks it's so important that even though Janin's partner Tam just died a month ago, that it's really important that they get him married to someone to the royal family again. So they just signed the contracts to be married. One of the reasons it seems that it's important that this marriage is solidified is because there's an auditor who is coming, who is going to see if this empire can continue to be part of, I think it's called the Resolution or something like that, which seems to be some sort of treaty between all the different empires in the galaxy that makes it, you know, easier to do trade and harder to go to war with people. And if he finds that this empire isn't able to, you know, stably hold on to its own planets that are under its rule, then they might take that treaty away from them and it'll put them at risk. So it does look like the stakes are pretty high. So far, Cayman and Janin have literally just met about 30 minutes before they were married. So things are a little bit awkward. Cayman, and I'm sorry if I say his name wrong, Cayman, I think might be his name. I don't know why I keep saying Cayman. It's definitely not Cayman. Kaim seems to be attracted to Janin, but he also understands that he is grieving, so he's trying to be respectful of that. So I definitely see how we will get mental health rep in this. We haven't talked too much about how Janin felt about his partner. They were together for 5 years, but I don't know if it was, you know, love, or if it was just, you know, a marriage of convenience that turned into like friendship and acceptance. So it'll be interesting to see how close they were, because of course that'll affect how you know, difficult it is for him to handle the loss of him. But yeah, that is how far I've gotten on that. I will go make some cookies and then do a lot more reading today. And I will update you guys when I have something to say. So here are my ingredients for my brown sugar pumpkin cookies. I already have some of the pumpkin puree that I was supposed to kind of press liquid from. So Hopefully I did that all right. And here is my attempt at brown butter. I did use vegan butter, so I don't even know if you can make brown butter with vegan butter, but I'm waiting for that to get room temperature. So I'll just do a little bit of reading while I do that, and then we'll go ahead and continue with my attempt at baking. Yay! It's kind of funny hearing from both their points of view, because Kame, he's like, oh my gosh, you know, Janan spent all this time married to Tom, who was really good at his position as a member of the royal family. So he's probably upset that he's with someone with such a bad reputation and who is a bit naive about what is happening in the political world. So he's probably grimacing on the inside at everything that I do, while he, on the other hand, looks so professional and put together and everything. And then Janan, on the other hand, is like, oh my gosh, Kame is so charismatic and I made a fool of myself. And he's probably, you know, just so upset that he has to be married to me, to someone who's completely like screwing everything up. So both of them think that the other is like more put together, but both of them don't know what the hell they're doing. So that's why I always enjoy seeing both sides of the relationship. It just gives you like more of a full picture of who each of them are and who they could be together. So far, I mean, I read maybe like 2 pages since I last checked in with you. But I have a feeling that their relationship and watching them, you know, grow their relationship is going to be really interesting. All right, here are the cookies. Cookies. We'll see how they taste. I'm gonna let them cool for a little while, and then we will do a taste test. These ones are kissing, but otherwise they seem to be pretty good. They're like really soft, which apparently they're supposed to be cakey, so I guess that's a good thing. But yeah, we'll see how it is. All right, I'm gonna try one of the cookies. It's nice and soft. It smells really good. It's pretty good. I feel like the flavor isn't quite strong enough. I mean, I'm definitely getting the spices and a little bit of pumpkin, but it's a rather subtle flavor. So I wonder if I make them again, if I want to add like more spices to it. But I really like how soft it is. So I'll link the recipe down below in case you want to try it. So yeah, decent. So I just started my lives, and so I'm in another room because even though I'm on mute, I don't trust it. So here I am just to give you a quick update. I am up to chapter 8 now, page 108. So the two of them, Janan and Kame, are now married, and just trying to get used to each other. It's a little bit awkward. Both of them seem to think that the other doesn't you know, want to be with them, and that the other person is probably like exasperated with everything that they do and is very much questioning everything that they do, and thinking that the other person is questioning it as well. So definitely some more communication needs to happen between these two. But we had them meet with the auditor, and the auditor is the one who's going to see if the treaty can be renewed for the empire. And while everyone else in the kingdom has been like confirmed, these two have not. So they're like, why was our status not confirmed? I know we were just married yesterday, but you know, we are very serious about this and we're gonna represent our planets. And the auditor was like, well, Janen's ex-husband, Tom, was probably murdered, and so we need to look into that. So now they're like, wait, what? He was murdered? So they're gonna start looking into that as well. So we'll get a little bit more of that murder mystery aspect of it. I am enjoying learning more about the characters and watching their interactions together. So far there hasn't been too many, and they've all been somewhat awkward, but I am hoping that soon they become a little bit more comfortable with each other, especially since they really need to work together. Enjoying the writing, enjoying the characters. The plot is interesting, so far I'm having a good time. So I'm going to get back to the sprints, hoping to get to at least 50% today, which is about 215 pages. And I will update you next time I have something to say, or later tonight before I head to bed. All right, so I've made it to chapter 10, page 133, and I'm trying to figure out if Janen, is that his name, Janen, and Tom had like an abusive relationship, because the way Janen acts, the way that he walks on like eggshells and is trying to always like read read him to see what kind of like reaction he wants, or what he wants him to do. Like he's constantly like, what do you want me to do? Like I'll do it, which makes me think that like his other partner previously was kind of like maybe like passive aggressive about the way that he wanted Janen to act, you know, kind of that he would not like hit him or anything, but that the way he would speak to him and the way that he would look at him, things like that are just things that over the years have made Janen like really pull into himself. So, I mean, he's really acting like someone who has spent the last 5 years in not the healthiest of relationships, but they also haven't talked too much about what their relationship was, what their relationship was like when they were together. So I'm just basing this off of like how he's behaving in his current relationship, which is very much that of a submissive partner who is very nervous around the other person. So that's unfortunate, of course. They're still trying to like navigate the politics and everything that's going on. You know, most people know that things on Janen's planet are not going super well, and that a lot of the students on that planet are kind of talking against being part of the empire, and it seems Janen had certain clan responsibilities that he's been neglecting over the past few years, and I'm assuming that's because his partner was isolating him in a way, because he was talking about like how he hasn't left the palace alone in years. And he hasn't really been interacting with like his clan members or anything, which I think is another reason why I'm assuming that the relationship was slightly abusive, that his partner was keeping him away from other people. But we'll see. I mean, it seems like Kaim is thinking that he is the problem, just like Janen is thinking that he is the problem. But hopefully Jaden starts to realize that Chaim is not like Tom, and that he can be a little bit more open around him and a little bit more himself. So I will keep a chugging. Been reading a little bit slower. We're in what's probably our last sprint. I realized that I read a little slower when I feel like people are watching me. So hopefully once the sprints are over, I will just sit down on my own and get a lot more reading done. So it is a little after 11 o'clock at night, so a little over the 24-hour mark of my 48-hour reading or readathon. I did not make it to the 50% mark. I got to 193, chapter 15. Yeah, chapter 15. I ended up watching a movie with my parents, so I didn't get quite as much reading done, but that is okay. This is one of the books, like, I really don't want to put it down, but it is also rather highly political, and I'm having trouble keeping my eyes open, so I don't want to continue on and miss out on something because I'm half asleep. So I'm gonna go ahead and put it down for tonight and hopefully get a decent amount of reading done tomorrow. Like I stated, I am really enjoying the book. I'm really enjoying the characters and watching them develop and watching their relationship develop. I'm also really interested in whatever conspiracy or whatever sort of corruption or anything is going on with this government, with this mining operation that the military is involved in. Very interested to see if they can solve that. Also interested to see what the outcome of their snooping is on the political climate, because it is a bit tense at this time because of the resolution, I'm pretty sure is what it's called, which happens every 20 years, and it seems that the Empire renews its individual treaties with each of its other planets that it rules over. And so they're trying to renew all their treaties with all of these other planets so that they can be solidified under the resolution for the next 20 years. So not the most stable of times for this issue to be in play, but that does make things a bit more interesting, stakes more higher, and I am very much enjoying it. So I'm gonna get some sleep, and hopefully I don't sleep in as much as I did this morning, and I'll be able to jump back into this book tomorrow. Guys, I just finished my October TBR video, and it's out before this video, so you've seen it. I'm in trouble. I'm in a little bit of trouble, so I'm just gonna drink this tea and relax and read a little bit, and then I will jump into editing. Guys, so it is Sunday night, a little before 9 o'clock. My readathon, 48-hour readathon, ends at 10. I'm putting that in like quotes because I don't even know if I can call this a 24-hour or 48-hour readathon, because today I read 1 hour and then I started reading at like 7. So far I've read like 2.5 hours today. So definitely a complete failure on that part, but I am on page 254, chapter 19 of Winter's Orbit, and I am having a very good time. I am having a very good time. The characters are finally communicating in such a way that they are on the same wavelength, at least to a degree, because usually what's happening is both of them think that the other wants to like avoid them and wants to spend as little time as possible, and they're like, oh, I'm being overbearing, or you know, I'm being too clingy, or they want distance from me, things like that. And they have tried to bring that up in conversations, but the way they say it always has like a double meaning, and the other person always takes it in such a way that makes it seem like the other person is airing out the same concerns that they think the person has. So they're like, oh, he is saying that he needs distance from me because he's saying we should spend time apart. But really, the other guy's like, we should spend time apart because he thinks the other guy wants to spend time apart. Oh my gosh. So finally, there seem to be semi on the same wavelength. We'll see if that sticks because we still have plenty of the book left, or if they, you know, start to wonder if it was like a one-time thing or something. But if not, I am very excited to watch their relationship grow from this point. I think they are two characters that work really well together. They are definitely very different. Kaim is very social. He's really good at like networking. He doesn't really realize that. He just makes friends with everyone, but it has opened a lot of doors for them, and has allowed them to further their investigation. And then Janin is really intelligent, and he's really good with like equations and looking through data and seeing patterns and things like that. So he once came and gets him that information, is able to do something with it. So they're a really great partnership. So I'm really enjoying that. Things are definitely getting more complicated. The more information they find out, the more bad things seem. So definitely interested to see where this mystery goes. I probably will not be finishing this book in this vlog, since I'm definitely not finishing it tonight, but I will check in with you before I head to bed to finish up this vlog, and just give you my final thoughts, if I have any more, and then you'll just have to watch next week's vlog to see my final thoughts. Sorry. Alright guys, so it is about 20 minutes before 10, but I am heading to bed because I am tired and have work in the morning. So I have made it to page 277, chapter 21 of Winter's Orbit. So unfortunately you're not going to get my final thoughts on this book in this vlog, but I will of course continue it in the next one. Just to give a little summary of what happened in this vlog, I started by reading The Bones Beneath My Skin by TJ Klune. Had a really great time with that book. Ended up giving it 4.5 stars. I have also made it 78% through We Hunt the Flame. I am starting to enjoy it a lot more in the second half of the story, so that's good. And then of course I have made it a little over halfway through Winter's Orbit, which is the final book on this month's TBR. So I'm not sure yet if after reading this I will try to jump right into my October TBR, which is very long, or if I'll try to get through Grace Draven's book, which is the second book to Radiance, but I don't know how to pronounce it, and it's over there so I can't read the title off, which was a part of my Becca's Bookopoly. So I will probably read it just because I really want to, and because it's a fantasy romance, I don't think it'll take too long, but I do just want to make sure that I don't start my October TBR too late, because it really is going to be a bit of a struggle to finish it, I think. But anyway, thank you guys for sticking around for this vlog, and thank you for supporting my channel by watching my videos, and I hope to see you next time. Bye!